at work. And in front of her car, he saw Kenny's car. And he was familiar with Kenny. Like, it was a small town. They hung out kind of in similar groups and things like that. So he sees Kenny's car and he's like, no, I'm being weird. It's not Kenny's car. But then Kenny was standing outside. So it was definitely Kenny's car because Kenny was there. And Kenny was like lurking around Egypt's new car and like looking in the windows and like just kind of like loitering. And then he got in his own car and drove away. And that was it.
Not weird at all.
Yeah. Curtis was like, yo, Egypt, come look at this. Like, and Egypt was like, what the hell? And again, she wasn't afraid of Kenny. And if she was, she didn't share that with her friend. She may have been independently.
That's hard though, because I feel like I've made that excuse for guys. Not that I should have been scared of them, but you're kind of like, no, he just likes me.
Yeah,
and
he's innocent.
He means well and he's trying to be nice, but like, also, it's fucking creepy.
I definitely had a creepy ex-boyfriend like that who was a messed up person. I all the time was like, no. He's just like has problems. He just has troubles. Like this isn't who he is. Like, no, it's just who you are. And even if you do have troubles at the end of the day, like not my problem to fix that. You can't be garbage. So
you can't be garbage.
You can't be garbage. I'm not making you not garbage. She confronted Kenny. Like, I don't know if I think it was probably via text or call. And she was like, yo, I saw you at Curtis's house looking at my car. What were you doing? And he was like, oh my gosh. So I was driving home from work and I happened to see your car and I happened to notice the sunroof was open and it started raining. And so I went to close your sunroof. Really? You could see her sunroof open from you driving by?
Kenny.
And why were you driving through a parking lot to get home, sir?
We don't believe you, Kenny.
We believe nothing you've said. So a couple weeks later, we're now 1 week before Curtis's move-in date. Curtis and Egypt went on a date to like a local strawberry festival because it was June and it was like, it was real cute. And there was like beer there and music and all this stuff. But she wasn't playing that night. So Curtis saw Kenny like in the distance and was like, oh, great. Okay. So he went to Egypt and was like, hey, Kenny's here. He's with somebody and he's standing over at your beverage tent. So I'm assuming like the beverage company she distributes with. She got like mad. She's like, what the hell? And she was like storming over there. She was like, had it. And one of the reasons that she was so mad is because she had told Curtis that she had been seeing him around a lot, but it didn't feel organic. Like she'd be
like
at the grocery store, like he's being stalkery. Yeah, dude. She'd be like, why is Kenny here again?
I know. Okay. And maybe I should tell all of you guys right now. So my neighbor, that creepy one I told you about.
Oh, yeah. The one who like wanted to text you or whatever.
He still hangs out outside my apartment.
Nope.
The other day.
No.
I took Leo out and for like the fifth fucking time, I walk up the stairs and I hear looking good. And I turn around and I see him and he's just staring at me. And then like the next day I was going to the mailbox and he was like he stopped me and he was like, and I have told him flat out, like, I have no interest in you. I don't want to hang out with you. Like,
yeah.
Nothing. And I was going to the mailbox to check and he like stopped me and he kind of stands on the sidewalk and he's like, no, we're just friends. Like, I want to hang out with you because I'm, again, like he stopped me and I was like, I don't want to hang out. And he's like,
we're not friends. We don't know each other.
Yeah, but he's like, no, as friends. Like, you told me you were interested in like more, like you don't want to go on a date, but like we're friends. And I was like, no, but we're also not friends. And like, also, I don't know you.
It's weird. He's standing out there because he doesn't live right next door to you. He just lives in like the same area as you.
No, I saw him today when I took Leo out. And sometimes I'm like, he's harmless. But then other times I'm like, I should also tell everyone I know about him and take his picture because if anything happens to me, he might, I don't know. And I mean that like joking, but also like,
but also
he gives off those kind of vibes where I'm genuinely creeped out.
Well, and that's the thing where we have to say we mean that as joking when we're afraid, because it's okay to be afraid of some random dude hanging out outside your house who won't leave you alone that you don't even actually know.
Yells
that's okay to be afraid of.
And then like you can't take your dog out with him like staring at you as you walk the stairs. I know it is bad enough that I actually told Michael, who I used to talk about. I texted him one day and I was like, so this guy won't leave me alone. You're a tall dude. I need you to come to my apartment.
Yeah.
Walk around outside with me and then like kiss me. So this guy sees and thinks we're together. Like literally. And I was like, I know we're not together anymore,
strong guy.
But I need you to like take me outside and make out with me. So this guy thinks we're together. And Michael was like, yeah, no, that dude's like, we're going to do something about this. And I was like,
he's a sweet guy.
Yeah. But it is, yeah.
Yeah. It's very scary. And so who knows, like if she was ready to just go bite his head off, she may have been afraid of him. I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Well, you kind of, well, at least in my experience, you don't really want to admit you're scared.
No.
Because it kind of seems stupid.
Well,
because I feel stupid, like saying like he could do something to me, but also like he could. I don't know.
Look in the world we live in, though. I mean, I'm not trying to scare you, but like I think it's okay to be afraid. It's not silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyways, so she goes up to him at the Strawberry Festival and is like, yo, I've been seeing you around town way too much. Are you following me? All this stuff. And they got in a huge fight. Curtis called it a blowout, like at the festival. And so everyone left because it was like one of those where everyone's like super uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So on June 22nd, so it was 1 week later, Egypt was texting her best friend, Lindsay. And Lindsay was like, hey, come over. I'm bored. Come hang out. And Egypt was like, hey, I'm really tired. I'm getting the house clean because Curtis is moving in like this weekend or whatever. And Egypt was also texting Curtis that night. Around 10 p.m., Curtis texted Egypt that he was going to bed. And Egypt was like, me too. Nighty night. I love you. Blah, blah, blah. So the next morning, Curtis texted Egypt as usual. Like he would do that first thing in the morning. And she didn't text back, which was odd because he knew she wasn't working late. Mm-hmm. So she usually gets up early. So he tried texting her a little while later. Still no reply. And he's like, this is really weird. Like we text nonstop back and forth. Like there's no reason she wouldn't reply. He tried calling her a few times, nothing. As the day went on, he started getting worried because it just was so unlike her. And so he decided to drive to her house, the house he was moving into, but hadn't moved in yet. So he drove to her house and he was pulling up the street. And he said as he pulled up that he saw that her car was in the driveway and that his stomach sank because he's like, well, it's either she's hurt and something happened
or she's not talking. Yeah.
She's not talking to me and I love her and we're going to move in together. So there, either way, there's like some kind of heartbreak that he felt. And so he parks his car in the driveway and he notices as he's approaching the door that the door is partially open, the front door. And he's like, can't breathe kind of moment, like, whew. So he goes inside and Ruby, the dog that she had gotten, runs over. And he said that he talked a lot about this, which is really sad. He was like, I knew immediately something terrible had happened because one, the door was open, but two, like Ruby would always like be like, woof, woof, and like wagging her tail. Like she was a very friendly little dog. And he said that her eyes were huge. And that they made eye contact and she just started running into the other room.
She was trying to tell him, like, come look at her. Like, come fight, come.
And she kept looking behind her. So I was like, are you coming? Are you coming?
Yeah. She was trying to take him to what happened.
Yeah. So he followed her and he started to turn the corner into the house and he saw Egypt's feet on the ground and was like, oh my God. Like, no. So she was in, which this part's terrible. She was in a fetal position. And her hands were tied behind her back with Christmas lights.
Oh, my God.
They weren't on, but that's still creepy. He said he could see a lot of blood on her head, so he immediately left the house. Like, he's like, I can't be in here. He went into the driveway, and he called 911. He said he can't remember the 911 call, but I listened to it, and he was pretty calm. And he told the 911 operator, hey, I hadn't heard from my girlfriend, and I went to check on her, and I'm at her house, and she's dead. Like he was just like, and this and that, and that's what it is, and we need an ambulance. So there was no sign of forced entry when the police came. So the police were like certain it was somebody that Egypt knew because she opened the door for them, most likely, or they had a key. So conveniently and suspiciously, also her neighbors, so duplexes, you like share a wall, her neighbors were on their well-known annual trip, so they weren't there to have heard anything. Curtis was obviously like immediately questioned because he's a boyfriend. He took 3 lie detector tests, which we know that those aren't always reliable. But anyways, he did pass them all. And after the police interviewed him, they were like certain he wasn't involved.
I think to me, at least, the biggest thing with lie detector tests in like in articles and whatever is like just being willing to take one. Kind of is like... And
he took it 3 times. And they were like, he's fine.
But also don't take one because they're not accurate.
I know. Because I feel like I would fail it just because I'd be so nervous.
Yeah.
Whether I did anything or not. Like
Same. I'm too anxious
every
for that.
question I'd be like, ah!
Because I would convince myself inside my head that I was lying, even though it'd be this crazy internal thing and then I'd fail.
If you have anxiety, don't take a lie detector test. Bless you.
Correct.
Was cute. Okay. After that, the police didn't really uncover anything else, which is weird. So this case got a ton of attention in the community because the community felt like it wasn't investigated. They're like, you got nothing?
Right. Everything points to Kenny.
They did say that it was a gunshot wound to the head. They didn't say whether or not they had fingerprints and stuff. They said there was one hair in her hand, maybe. Like, they just didn't really do anything, the community felt like. And I couldn't find any articles that were like new updates there was just nothing. It was really weird. So
was she black?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she was half black. Her mom was white and her dad was
that's
black.
Why they didn't do anything.
Yeah, it's quite possible. So the police remained super tight-lipped about the whole investigation.
That's normal,
and the
though.
murder. Yeah.
You don't talk about,
Yes. So that doesn't make it seem more sketchy, but they wouldn't share anything. So less than a year later, they did name Kenny Michalak as a person of interest, but said they did not have enough evidence to formally call him a suspect. So because of the alleged abuse and their recent history, Egypt's family 100% believes Kenny had something to do with it, except for her mom. Her mom does not agree. I had a hard time watching interviews with her mom because her mom, I don't know her, so I can't speak ill of her, but she seemed very disassociated with what actually happened. She contradicted herself in one paragraph. So first she said, Kenny absolutely did not abuse Egypt. She would have told me. And I never saw a bruise on her body. And so then the interviewer goes, so her friends and, boyfriend, you think they're lying that she said this to them. And then she said, well, there was this one incident where maybe he held her against. And then you're like, okay.
But it sounds like, and I don't have kids, I can't, but just trying to put myself in her shoes, it sounds like her mom doesn't want to believe it.
Yes.
So she's just like, no, that didn't happen. That couldn't have happened. That wouldn't happen to my kid. That didn't happen. And I can get that. I get that.
She did a disassociative thing. Yeah.
But in a way to protect herself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is just heartbreaking.
Yeah. So she doesn't want to believe that.
But of course not. You don't want to believe that happened to your kid.
Yeah. And Egypt has 3 sisters and a brother. I think, I apologize, I don't know for sure, but she's from a big family and they're all pretty upset with her biological mom because some of them have a different mom and stuff because they got divorced when Egypt was young. But some of them were really upset with Tina, the mom, because she gave Ruby, the dog, to Kenny. Because she's like, Kenny loved the dog. And the family was like, that's a little too much.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah. And
but I can't speak to how the mom was feeling and I don't want to judge her, but
it gives me a weird taste in my mouth. But however, she did hire a private investigator because she felt like the police weren't doing enough. And she was able to do that via a GoFundMe that was created. The private investigator thinks that the local authorities had so little experience in homicide investigations that they just dropped the ball, which is what happens in so many small communities.
Where murder isn't a thing,
They've never investigated a murder case, so they've never had to think about it. So maybe there isn't a process in place. There isn't a protocol. They haven't been trained. I mean...
Even if they have, though, no matter what your job is, if you get trained and then you don't use that, you forget it.
Yeah, you're
whether you're a cop or fucking whatever.
What do we do? Do we pick them up with the things?
Yeah.
Do we put them in the bag? Which bag? Did we bring the bags?
Yeah,
we didn't know this was a murder.
Forget things. Or, you don't really know something until you've done it.
Yeah. So Egypt's family celebrated her life on July 1st, 2017, so just a couple weeks after her murder. And they said, quote, her life cannot be expressed by a service. Therefore, a celebration of life, of Egypt's life, will take place at the Corner Brewery. So they celebrate her life there, and it's unsolved because they have no evidence.
Still?
Yep. They have no evidence. So the case...
Kenny fucking did it, though.
They said they don't have enough evidence, so he can't even be a suspect. The private investigator.
That's it?
That's all. The private investigator is trying to figure it out.
Are you fucking kidding me, Sarah?
Nope. That's the whole case. He got away with it.
No, this whole time I've been waiting for you to be like, and then the cops are like, yeah, Kenny did it and he's in jail.
No, that's why the private investigators they dropped the ball. Yeah, no, her case is unsolved. I hate calling it unsolved though, because I think it's solved. But because I think Kenny
Dude, I have this
who else would have done it?
I have this sinking feeling in my stomach from this case. That is
that's why I had to write about not to say we had to write about well-known musicians, but like I read this about this local musician and aspiring singer, and I was like, okay, hold up. Hold up.